as accessible as possible. So from the point in 2011, we approached the National Library to see if there was a way that we could update the access to the collection, and that led to the start of the digitisation project, which has now been going for about 3 years.
Were you aware of the scope of this project when you embarked upon it?
I still think we're finding the scope of the project as we've gone through it. It's an enormous task and big responsibility being involved with the Arms Western Archive. And to put an exact number, I think is quite challenging. There's split between black and white and colour. The colour digitisation has largely been completed now over the last 3 years, and the team that's based at the National Library are now working on the colour. So that's an very exciting process, because the team working on it and doing the scanning is seeing images really for the first time. I mean, you can imagine the amazing material in there, but we're discovering a lot of images that are really being seen now and presented for the first time ever, which is quite remarkable.
What is the actual process of digitisation?
So it starts with the negative and a scanner essentially, and the software you need to scan an image. So the scanning technology that we use is basically as good as we could find for this type of purpose. The scan goes in, we make 2 different size files, one which goes onto the National Library website and is used as the sort of indicative image for reference and research, and the other is a massive big file which is stored in the National Digital Heritage Archive for conservation purposes.
You're nodding along there, Yvonne.
Yes.
We have Anne's half-sister in the studio. Welcome. Hello.
Thank you.
What's your exact relation, Yvonne?
I'm Anne's half-sister. We have the same father. Our dad was married 3 times, and Anne's is his first child from his first marriage, and I'm his last child from his last marriage. And New Zealand in the early 50s, and my brother and I were born, and Aunt decided to come out and see her father.
Why did he come out originally?
Long story. After the war, he decided to go to Indonesia. Oh, that's right, I believe his second wife, her mother had land in Indonesia. So he went out to start a business, and then I think it was Sukarno that told all the Dutch to leave at a certain point, and so all the Dutch had to leave, and he decided to come to New Zealand.
As a lot of them did at that time, actually,
yes.
didn't they? How interesting. So you were already in New Zealand when Aunt arrived at the age
Yes.
of 21. How old were you?
I was 2.
Do you remember meeting?
Oh, yes, I do, believe it or not. Aunt's made a very big impression on me. I thought she was amazingly tall.
Yes.
I remember looking up at her, and at that time she was eating a biscuit, which she managed to swallow in one mouthful, and I must have been looking up with my mouth open, because I remember her saying to me, "One day you'll be able to do that as well."
I can imagine a 2-year-old being deeply impressed by a single swallow of biscuit.
Yes. I've got many little stories like that I remember. When I was a little girl, I just looked up to her. I thought she was just this wonderful, free, bohemian person. And the times she used to come back to Auckland to visit us, she always took my brother and I somewhere interesting. I remember she let us drive the car. We were sitting on her lap as little children while we drove around the domain, and I think she took us to a marae, and she just took us to such fascinating places.
Not a lot's changed.
Not a lot has changed. She's still taking me to fascinating places. She's had such an interesting life. I mean, she was not only a photographer and going out recording everything. She knew a lot of people, and very interesting people. Just about every artist or sculptor or poet she had met at one time or the other. So
When didn't she arrive in New Zealand? Was she already a photographer, or did New Zealand make her one?
I believe she already had an interest in photography, and I think she already thought that would be a good career choice. Her stepfather had quite a fancy camera, a Leica, and was very interested in photography, and took her to see the Family of Man exhibition in Amsterdam. So she saw that before she left. And then when she arrived in New Zealand, we were living next door to a Maori family, and she became absolutely fascinated with them. She thought they were wonderful, so genuine and open and free, quite the opposite from our family. My mum and dad were really quite strict, so she was fascinated by this family over the fence who, seemed so loving and genuine.
1960s, late 50s, 1960s New Zealand must have struck her as so strange. David, what have you got to say about the sort of foreigner's gaze, and how important was it to her photography? Do you think that she was a foreigner?
Well, you could write a book on that topic, Charlotte. It has influenced her images and her eye, as I think has her gender. She had a very objective view, very honest view, and she only photographed what she saw. But I think the way that she captured the images, I think her non-New Zealand status initially was very, very formative for that. What do you think, Yvonne?
I agree.
I think her gender's not to be understated as well. I feel a lot, especially in the early 60s, a lot of the work there was the images were created with quite a maternal viewpoint, quite a lot of children, images of children and seeking pleasure and delight and exuberance, I think is a word.
Yes.
That comes up a bit with her images.
That wonderful Wash Day at the Par series.
Well, I mean, one of Arndt's favourite images is the image from the Wash Day at the Par with the young boy swinging in the kite.
That's one of her own favourites, is it? I was going to ask that.
Yeah, she often refers to that one, and particularly the look of delight on the little guy's face as he's being swung by his sisters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. She's captured iconic moments in our history as well, hasn't she? Just think of the Springbok Tour protests, or James K. Baxter's Tangi.
Land March.
Yeah, Land March.
Yes.
So, I mean, as well as those sort of big events, though, I mean, I think what isn't known so much for now, but will certainly become a lot more known for, is just her photography of everyday life. I mean, we've found that as we've gone through the archive with the digitisation, that there is a very, very consistent, the beautiful imagery from it might not be something significant in public. Well, she did photograph there, but it might just be in a lounge in Karori or wherever it is, the supermarket, that's right, the park bench. She was very, very comprehensive in what she did with her photography.
You mentioned the responsibility before, and it is awesome, isn't it? The responsibility of being a guardian of somebody's life's work like this.
That's probably a good way to describe it. Sort of a guardian. It's how I sort of feel. I mean, there's the responsibility to manage the sort of archive and the copyright in a kind of a business sense, and introduce it in an artistic sense as well. But increasingly now, through the accessibility, we are meeting people who are in the photographs or whose descendants are in the grandparents or the like are in the photographs. So we have protocols around how we can what we can do for those sort of people with the images.
That in itself is a massive job, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's not a job that one person can do. I mean, so Yvonne's involved, and we have another two assistants who work not quite full time, but between them full time, just working on this as well. So it's a big undertaking.
How do you curate? How do you choose the works for your exhibition?
That's a good question. A very, very difficult task, and I haven't actually decided yet.
That's a work in progress.
Well, we have a pool exhibition is going to occupy the entire building that we have on Upper Cuba Street. It's a heritage building, 2 stories, so there'll be a lot of works there. We're also in the process of producing some colour prints of an incredible event that Arns was at on the slopes of Mount Taranaki in 1965, and right in a congregation there. So these are images again that are going to be seen for the first time by people who come to the exhibition. But yeah, it's a great problem to have, and it's great fun being able to select images and to choose images, and everyone has a different view, of course. That's, I guess, the prerogative that we have, being able to present the show. So we hope there'll be plenty there for everyone to enjoy.
That's David Alsop and Yvonne Westra talking with Charlotte Wilson. And the 60-year Ans Westra survey opens at Sweet Gallery in Wellington on the 29th of November. And you can also browse through the entire archive at the National Library, and the links and the pictures are up on our website, rnz.co.nz, standing room only, full stop. Speaking of which, the reason I was kind of slightly distracted was that people have been sending in a bunch of fascinating facts. Somebody says, did you know that after her stint in the Crimea, Florence Nightingale took to her bed at the age of 37 and never left it again? Well, I did know that, but I didn't know this. She died at the age of 90. And could you please give details for the show? This is from Ruth in Auckland. Details for the show you've just been talking about. It sounds madly funny. I can't wait to have a look at it as well. Just Google "No Such Thing as a Fish." It's a podcast coming out of England. But you just Google it, and I'm sure it'll pop up. But we'll find the link, and we'll stick it on our webpage as well, just to to underline that. And I've got, this is astonishing. This is from Richard, and this goes in for several reasons. Simon, he says, bonkers QI style train music fact: the late great Phoebe Snow took her name from a fictional character invented by the marketing department of the Delaware-Lackawanna Railroad. Woo woo. Richard, I don't even believe it, but let's assume that that's true. It's about 11 minutes to 1, and art acres for the budding art lover who wants to connect with New Zealand art but isn't quite sure where to start. It's a twice yearly exhibition started some 5 years ago in Auckland and is now being rolled out around the country. The intention of director Amy Ralphini is to make art affordable, to democratise it, in her words. Well, with that purpose, she's invited some established and very opinionated artists like Dick Frizzell and Johnson Witahira to sell some of their works and also to talk about it. And I talked to them both the other day and first asked Dick whether art is daunting for first-time buyers.
Well, I've been up against it all my life, this business of, that where the popularity and the elites kind of meet and clash.
Well, your stuff has got jokes in it, Dick. I mean, that's the thing that kind of takes some of the edge off it, some of the stuff where you think, I'm too dumb for this,
Yeah, I know. As Tom Scott said the other day, if you look closely at my work, you can actually see the numbers.
Johnson, your stuff, though, is slightly different. I mean, I've only really seen the print of the painting that you're bringing in, but there's a lot of writing on there. Is that a thing that you normally do?
No, it isn't actually. It's just kind of a unique piece for the show, because I never really kind of explored doing tiki books on their own. But yeah, the art I've been doing more recently, especially the playable artworks, where you can play as a missionary in one colonising Māori, or you can play as a Māori figure destroying the landscape upon arrival in Aotearoa. There's a bit more sarcasm and wit, but also it's all based on history too.
You just mentioned the fact that there is a theme this time round, which is the tiki. And Johnson, I know that you've always rather avoided the tiki in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess isolated. It's kind of interesting because there is actually tiki in most of my Māori artwork, but it's not isolated. If you know what I mean, it's not a tiki kind of monotone. Yeah, so I've avoided it for all kinds of reasons. This was an interesting way for me to actually engage with it, and I've thought about it lots. But yeah, just never felt the need to really go there.
It's a sort of it's been appropriated by the tourist industry in some respects, hasn't it? But I was told that it was actually invented by a Pākehā anthropologist. Do you know anything about the early days of the tiki?
I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that, I'm kind of sure, and through my education anyway, that the kind of notion of tiki as this embryonic symbol was first written down by a Pākehā anthropologist, and it's carried on ever since. So there's all kinds of misconceptions around it. But from what I've heard, it's basically about it's about continuation.
Dick, I know that you haven't backed away from the Tiki. In fact, you're mostly associated with the Tiki in some respects, aren't you? 25 years of it.
That's right.
Why did you get onto it? Was it just because of that omnipresent touristy aspect of it, or what?
Well, actually, it wasn't really. It was because of the clampdown on the tourist industry back in 25 years ago when it was, popular images of the Tiki were expunged, which I just didn't think was sort of healthy. I don't think you can kind of ring fence a culture like that. Cutting off the oxygen and what have you. So for some peculiar reason, I decided I'd go and replace everything. That was somehow the bottom line. It was a weird thing to do.
Well, that famous one where you went from Mickey Mouse to a Tiki, and it was almost too perfect in some respects.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. It was a complete fluke.
So what have you done with the Tiki this time, Dick?
Oh, very modest. I had a weird sort of commission a few years ago. Somebody wanted me to make just a small giveaway work to jolly up some little gift thing I got involved with. That was my book, when my book was published, that's right. So I got this guy, the rubber stamp guy, to make a little rubber stamp Tiki image that I kind of invented from town farm references and things. And then this year I saw it in the studio, the rubber stamp. I thought, I'll remake the rubber stamp, but then of course it was too messy, so I got it turned into a silk screen print, and then Amy got really excited about it. It just sort of, I don't know. And then she came up with this incredible thing that it's 25 years to the month, pretty much, that I had that exhibition.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, 25 years, seriously. 25
years, it always seems like a big number in some respects. And, do you think that attitudes to art have changed in those 25 years? I mean, attitudes to pop art, which in some respects is a lot of what you do, isn't it, really?
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's, anything graphic these days is called pop art, isn't it? It's kind of a catch-all. It's kind of meaningless in a way. But what I did, that kind of kicking open the stable door and letting the horse bolt like that, literally you can't shut that door again. That's, as Hamish Keith calls it, wheels spinning in the mud. Every time people get outraged again over another t-shirt or something, it's like, really? I think we've done that one.
Well, I was going to ask you, Johnson, this whole debate, which seems to not go away, about cultural appropriation, these are postmodern days now. Virtually it seems to be anything's open to be dealt with.
I think we're postmodern.
Totally, I was just going to say that. I was completely going to say that. Now it's measured in terms of its integrity and skill and mastering of whatever medium, and that's, isn't it? That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Get it right. You just have to get it right.
And I think the conversation has shifted dramatically. When I was doing a little bit of research, and so I come in here saying like I know something.
Good on.
But in the early days when that first show that they had, there were critics like Te Awa called Tuku, who was quite vocal about her disdain for the works. But in a NZ Herald story more recently, she talked about seeing going to an exhibition opening and seeing a Māori artist with a Dick Frizzell shirt with a Tiki on it. So I think we've grown up a bit. There's still issues with appropriation, but issues have changed, and so our perspectives, I think.
Yes, it's just how it's presented. It's interesting. Of all the things, if I'd really wanted to be nasty and bitter, and I could have gone in there, but I didn't. And I knew that no matter what I did in terms of just pure formal exploration, it was never going to threaten the integrity of the Tiki itself, the story.
Yeah.
I didn't present an AG judge for pretty delicate, really.
From what when I looked at it anyway and reflected on it, I thought you were taking this more out of Pākehā art than Māori art. That was kind of in that kind of honky tourism kind of.
Well, it's that confrontation thing, isn't it? It's not a thing. Doesn't seem to exist on its own now. It's there, and you look at the reaction to it, and the reaction, in a lot of ways, seems to be a lot more revealing than the art that they're looking at.
Well, there's so much issue-driven art out there. These what I call issue warriors with their stories, but that people kind of expect there to be an issue, and if it's just a formal, like an aesthetic exploration of your environment, it's people feel almost a little bit disappointed. They kind of say, "What isn't it like saving the whales or something?" You know?
What's it for? Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, but the good thing about this this Arte thing is the fact that you are allowed to talk about it on the day, apparently. I mean, I think that you'd probably rather welcome that day.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. Turn me on. Leave the room.
Absolutely. I mean, Johnson, do you like talking about your art, or do you like it to speak for itself?
No, I love talking about it. In fact, I've been told I probably say too much about it, and